Now, here's your hosts, the League Dad, Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair.
What's up, gamers? And welcome to another episode of the All In Podcast presented by Excellency Esports. I'm the League Dad, and you can hear me chuckling a little bit because the episode hasn't even begun, and they're already laying it into my TSM. Look, it's done. Our three teams are there. But first, the big news of the day, really, that just came out is that Worlds is being moved from China to Europe. What do you guys feel about that? I mean, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, what are your thoughts?
That's a really big deal. I'm going to look at it from a competitive standpoint. I feel like it always favors the team that it's the home team. So Europeans, they don't have to travel anywhere. They don't have to deal with jet lag. They don't have to deal with finding accommodations and getting comfortable in your new facility.
Yeah.
And they get to be in the comfort of their own home, right? They get to be familiar with things. They get to be in their own solo queue too. They don't have to spend time leveling a new account or anything, like climbing from, I think, whatever is like platinum they usually start at. So I think it's a big deal for European teams if they're looking to win a title this year. So good for them. Bummer for China, because they would have had that advantage if it was in China this year.
Yeah.
So another thing to add on, because of COVID, that also means that they don't have to quarantine. Because
That's true.
Well, at least if you're in this, we don't actually know which country it's in, but I assume that between EU countries, I think it's probably easier to travel than outside, where you would have to quarantine.
Yeah.
The reason behind it, generally, at least assuming this is true, this is, of course, like a rumor technically, but it seems to be being confirmed in a lot of places. The reason behind it is because visa issues. It's just probably easier to get a visa to the EU, and it's hard to leave the EU right now, comparatively. Yeah. So this is going to get the most teams possible to like be able to attend, which is great because we just even if it happened in China, if like EU teams or some EU teams couldn't come, this would just be so scuffed. Doesn't matter if they're like not going to get first or whatever, or they're only going to get like top 4. That's still a huge deal, right?
Yeah.
So big deal. I will say that something to keep in mind is that while there is a home field advantage, I think no team in history has ever won, except for Samsung White in Seoul. No team has ever actually won in their own region.
In their own region. That's pretty interesting.
Like the 2017 Worlds in China, Korea won. The 2018 Worlds in Korea, China won. And then in Europe, China won. And then the one time it was in Shanghai last year, Korea won.
That's true. So, wow.
There is definitely an advantage. I'm not going to say there's not, but just strange enough, it boiled down to Korea won a bunch of times when they weren't hosting. And in 2014, they hosted with Singapore and Taipei. So they did host, but they have hosted, and they won that. That was season 4. Yeah. So don't know what it means. I don't know if it means 2022 is the U.S. or if it's Canada or if it's China again, because China was supposed to host this year. No idea. But we'll see if we've even gotten over COVID like Sigma by then or whatever it will be.
Whatever variant it'll be. Alistair, do you have any thoughts on this change?
I mean, the other thing to consider is while there is a home field advantage because you're used to everything, there's also a disadvantage because you're in front of your own people, which is a pretty big thing, right?
Yeah. But I mean, doesn't that get that like if there is going to be if there's going to be people, like I don't know like what it'll be like by then. That's another thing that can play a part in just everything. Some people play better with the crowd, play worse with the crowd, so all of these factors are going to be taken into account. But I think we skipped over some very important news. We got actually our newest import. He came all the way from Canada, and he is now in the state of South Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, our collegiate ADC, we have Alistair here. Round of applause.
Welcome.
He is actually, if you're not watching this, he is actually in a new room with light, and we can see his face for like the first time in how many ever years we've been doing this. So I just wanted to bring that up because we're excited for you, man. Is there anything you want to say about your experience here real quick in US before we move on? Because this is much more important, honestly.
Honestly, I've only been here a little over a week, so still learning, but
Are the people meaner here, man? Or
pretty similar.
It's pretty similar.
Honestly, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
Well,
they
makes
definitely
sense.
are. I've run into some characters.
Damn.
But
Welcome to America, man.
Welcome to America. Congrats on being CLG's new 80 carry,
Boo!
CLG Alistair.
Yes.
We'll
this
be
again, Mitchell.
replacing the former Canadian ADC Wild Turtle. We have our new Canadian ADC,
Dang.
Alistair, in the bot lane.
Yo, I'm excited.
Don't give him the Caitlyn, because he's the king of Caitlyn.
I'm excited
All
for
right,
this,
welcome
man.
back.
Look, you are our ticket
Oh,
into
boy.
the LCS, brother. All of our hopes and dreams are riding on you.
Yep.
So
Yep.
let's all give Alistair a pat on the back. Congratulations, and root him into his pro career. But with that said, we're glad to have you back. But speaking of Worlds and going back to it, you know, a couple of big things going on here. One is Faker will be back finally, and that's always good for just Worlds in general because the GOAT himself will be there. But the other big thing is that G2, who has been there for how many years now, will actually not be there this year. Thoughts on those two teams real quick, if you got any.
Faker will finally be returning since, I think, 2018, is it? When he was with Khan and still with Teddy, and they had Clid and stuff. That was a long, long time ago. That was when, I think, was it? No, it was 2019. Was it? It was 2019 Worlds. So 2 years, year and a half or so. Long time for Faker. Faker is like the OG GOAT, and he's finally returning. That's awesome to have him back. Honestly, LCK is looking a little weak, as it always has, so I'm not really sure how good T1 is. It's really weird they're called T1, not SKT anymore, but I think half the people are still going to call them SKT.
Heck yeah.
I am.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm still going to call them SKT. I have no idea at what level Faker is really going to come in at, because I think that he was competitive, and even though he lost in 2019 to G2, actually, funnily enough. So we'll see where he comes in, because he's made it to the finals. Is that correct?
Yes.
To play against Anwan. So I think that'll really be telling, is Faker back, or is he coming in as a second seed for like the first time in his life, right? So we'll find out.
Yeah, it's like there's so much legacy behind that org. Like, yes, Faker's the only remaining one from that org from the glory days, but like,
Yep.
For the longest time, like you might not argue that Korea was that strong. It was mostly at Worlds. It was mostly Samsung orgs and then SKT orgs, right? Back and forth.
Yeah.
Because like the G Tigers / whatever Tigers, like they were good, but like they never really did much. They usually either got shut down by T1 or they like choked to somebody. And same with the Kingzone orgs. So I don't. We'll see. I'm excited for them.
To be fair, those teams only ever lost to other Korean teams. Kingzone lost to Samsung, and GE Tigers lost to SKT. They always just lost to other Korean teams. So
that is fair, but they did. Yeah, no, that is fair. That is fair. I mean, I was thinking more like they literally lost at IEM to like a 9th place World Elite for the Tigers, and then Kingzone losing MSI to RNG, like starting the era of LPL dominance. So that's what comes to mind. But yes, at Worlds, not just international, it's always been these two orgs. I'm excited for them. I think Faker is more popular than people realize. Like, yeah, we all know who Faker is, but in Korea, he's still one of the most popular, if not the most popular esports person, like, in existence. So it's a huge deal that he's coming back. It's going to be great for viewership. It's great for stories. We get to see, like, the new guard try to take on basically the last god who's still around from that era.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else from season 2 or 3 who's, like, was a god. Like, yes, Impact is still around, but, like, he's just still very good. Not a god, right? And he's not going to Worlds this time, unfortunately.
Oh, sad. Yeah.
So it's a big deal. I'm really happy that SKT isn't making it. I don't think they're gonna be like insane, but they always do well at international events. Like,
you never know. Maybe something will awaken in Faker's competitive spirit that just makes him go insane. That would be an awesome storyline. Alistair, you got any thoughts on SKT making it?
No, not that hasn't already been said.
What about G2? Y'all got any thoughts on that? I mean, because that's the reverse. It's like, what? I don't know what, I don't watch a lot of LEC, but I mean, that roster on paper looks like it would be good, but, I don't know. What do you guys think of G2 and what's happening there?
G2, no perks, no worlds, I guess. Not the one we were expecting. Because, I don't know. I also thought they were going to be better this year, but they just kind of fell apart. Definitely, it felt like Jankos had like one of the best years of his life, but both Caps and Wonder just completely fell apart. That that's the intangibles that Perks brought to the team. He was so comfortable on his own org and on his team that I guess even from an ADC position, he was a point of leadership. And I mean, you saw him struggle coming to NA, right? But he still made it to Worlds. And I mean, as terrible as Perks has been playing all year, you cut out this year and you go back to right before. Perks literally made it to Worlds every year he was ever a professional player
It's just
on
nuts.
G2.
Wow.
So it's just impressive. He still made it to Worlds this year.
He broke C9's curse, which I know we're going to get to, but Perks, I mean, it's a complete polar opposite because his former team didn't make it. He makes it on his team against all odds, though.
Ocelot's in shambles, man. It's crazy. There was also
bills.
Exactly. Yeah, true. He has to return all of his Worlds G2 jerseys, though. You know, that's a big bummer.
I can't believe he actually ordered them before they were like qualified. That's crazy to me, dude.
I
better have got a good deal on them or something. Like,
I'm sure there's an insurance clause or something where if you need a return, you get part of your money back. Anyways, not on topic. What is on topic is Wonder. Did any of you guys see the tweet with Wonder where it was like a really old scrim? Basically, Adam played Olaf into Wonder, and Wonder basically trolled that scrim and picked Yumi top. And then you saw in this series, elimination match, he got completely dookied on by Olaf's or Adam's Olaf.
Yeah.
So that's yikes.
I actually wanted to go into that, but what I'll say is like, for all we said about Perks having a bad year or whatever, like at least a rough year, he still won the first split, and technically they're not done with this split. They could win this one. I don't think they will, but they could, right? So as far as I'm concerned, like C9 is on a good pace right now. Like that is better than they were before, and that's what matters. To be fair, the Niski org, the org Niski went to also is going to Worlds, so good stuff. G2, on paper, that's like the strongest Western team on paper. It's got the super team players with an AD carry who plays the role, right?
Yep.
And not just any AD, it's Reckless or Reckles, whatever you want to call him. He's not going to Worlds. That's a huge deal. The man left Fnatic to join the super team, and he didn't make it. It's kind of like when Froggen left, when Reckless left for Alliance.
Yep.
They became elements and they were just awful. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I don't know.
One of the greatest AD carries in Europe's history just never doing well when he joins the best team with a history of doing well. But I don't think this was Reckless's fault for the most part this time around. I think that Wonder and Mickey X actually did really poorly. Wonder especially, going to the Wonder topic, like, I'm fine with players. Like, I don't like it, but I'm fine with a player who's got an ego and doesn't practice that much as long as they show results. But the thing is, it's a double-edged sword, right? The second you start, like, really falling off like he has been, not just, like, once or twice in playoffs, like, this year, it's just like, people are going to come down hard on you. It's no longer funny, right? It's just like Smithy. If he had he had stayed long enough on Liquid to, like, start falling off, people would have tore into him. But he was on a bad team, so there are excuses, right? Which we don't know if he was bad on Immortals. Immortals was just not good back then. So I think G2 kind of deserves it. Unfortunately, it's probably a good time to get like some really strong talent around Caps, which sounds weird because Jankos played a great year. Caps played fine. I don't think he was the worst of the. I think it was Mickey and Wonder who were the worst, and Wonder was the most obvious. Like, boy was walking up as GP versus Renekton and died, and I was like, I don't know if you should have lost that hard. Like, I feel like I've seen like Alphard do this exact matchup and not die at level 1 to a Renekton. It was embarrassing. And Adam's a rookie, so it's very embarrassing. It's good for EU that they kind of had a change in the guard, like the G2's just not there anymore for this season. But we'll see how it goes. I don't think Ocelot cares. He made so much money off the Perks deal that like he's just like, we didn't make Worlds.
He's alright.
I made more money than I would have going to Worlds. We're good.
That'd be alright.
So.
Alistair, got anything?
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was going to be the opposite between G2 and Cloud9. I thought Cloud9 was going to be the team that spent all the money and then didn't make it. But it's G2.
It's G2. Yeah.
Take that how you will. I mean, that's all I really have to say about that. I mean, it's kind of surprising. I mean, you look at this team on paper and... I mean, this was the team that was supposed to win Worlds after coming.
That's what I was thinking. You know, it's a good team on paper. Yeah, I think that was the
G2 got Reckless to win Worlds.
maybe next year we get G2 Whippo and top lane or back to top lane and they win. Who knows?
That'd
That would be
nuts.
interesting.
It
That'd
would
be
be.
He
crazy.
played a good jungle year so far.
He did. He definitely did. I was
I don't know
surprised.
if he wants to
but-
keep playing jungle, but he played a good jungle year.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go back to our region now, the best region there is, and we have our 3 teams locked in.
Yeah,
And
region's better than that at TSM's at Worlds. So.
Oh gosh, we had to start already. All right, we might as well start from the top because on Sunday, my beloved TSM, yes, they lost. Congratulations, C9, whatever, woohoo. But C9, 100 Thieves, and Team Liquid will be our representatives for North America into Worlds. That's cool. I mean, C9, they've completely turned around right when they needed to. I think we were talking about this earlier, and I do think TSM basically gave them this match, but C9 still, to their credit, had to take it. That was game 5, both Sunday and Saturday. Let's start with Team TSM versus C9 on that series. What are your thoughts on that, Mitchell?
My thoughts on Game 5 of TSM versus C9?
No, Game 5.
Oh.
I mean, just we had 2 Game 5 series, so it was a hype weekend, is what I was trying to say. So
yeah, because I was like, we can start with Game 5.
You might as well, because you could talk about it. It was very oh
I'd say
gosh.
go last because that's gonna take us a while.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, I'll just overall, TSM played pretty well, and I'm really surprised they lost that series. I thought that. I mean, besides Game 5, it felt like TSM was the better team, if I'm being honest. Like, it felt like they got ahead most early games, and it felt like they had better mechanics and skirmishing for most of the games.
Yep.
Because, like, Vulcan and Perks and Blabber were all doing some weird stuff in those games that was like, that's a weird. Like, Vulcan just flashing and kind of just hanging out in place. He meant to Hex Flash. That was hilarious, and it ended up working out. Because he burned Lost's flash, and then they won the next team fight because Lost had no flash, and it's like, that's super troll, but it worked out for them. And there's other times where it's like, Perks is just whiffing 3 or 4 Aurelia ults in a row.
Oh my god.
Blabber is kind of just jumping in on Xin Zhao. Like, we saw him make some Smurf Xin Zhao plays in like a previous series. This series, his Xin Zhao was super questionable. I don't know how I feel about C9 making it 2 Worlds. I don't feel like they're playing super well, but they did win, and they beat TSM. So it's very surreal to me. TSM played... I still think TSM's a good team. I think if you run that best of 5 back, I would still predict TSM to win that. So that's me.
I feel like they should have won Game 2 on that as well.
They had Ocean Soul.
They had Ocean Soul, and so...
They had a gold advantage.
Again, they gave it away, man. They should have closed that one out, and it should have never even gotten to Game 5. And then Game 5, I mean, I don't even know. So
yeah, we can talk about the individual games maybe from other people's side, but that is my perspective. I definitely feel sort of uneasy about how Cloud9 is our representative, and I hope they improve because they're just guaranteed going. So
Yeah, it's an interesting story for C9 to get through. I mean, I think a little bit contrasting with the last series C9 played against EG. I don't think Perks played as well this series. Like, there was that TP game 1 where they lost. They went 0-4 in the trade, and I was like, or it was clearly because Spica played it well to counter, but it was still pretty deep into a pan. I was like, I don't know if this would work normally, and you gave it away by hitting the sparring, but there was a lot of steps to that. That was a bad play. I think that C9 stuck it out. They won a game against Ocean Soul, which is pretty rare, especially given that the comps were somewhat even in my mind. I think that TSM... If we cut out Game 5, I thought TSM was playing on average better, but it's still inexcusable to lose games like with Soul, a Soul that strong, with the comp they had. I don't really know how that happened still. Like, even watching it back, I'm like, how did they lose that? It was a good series. It was scrappy. I wish it didn't end on that, because if it was just those 4 games in a vacuum and this somehow was a series, which isn't how series work, but if that was the series, we'd be like, that was a sick series. They were back and forth. It was fairly competitive. Yes, it was messy at times, but like, I'm gonna put it out there. Like, when you're testing each other, like, it's just gonna get messier, and that's fine. We aren't. I don't want to go to a League of Legends that's super clean. It is boring as heck. And that won't help viewership. I don't care if it's perfect league or whoever defines as perfect. Like, I'm looking for a competition. There are so many sports where people just don't play even close to optimally, and like, we don't call that not perfect. We just call that entertaining or good or fun or whatever. obviously you can appreciate like not being an inter and not drafting like garbage, but that I think like those things like that's fine to criticize. I just as long as it's not egregious. Like these teams have shown some pretty good looks. I think TSM has shown some of the best reads of, I guess maybe a non-liquid team in the league.
Yeah.
I think that they might even have shown. I think Liquid. The only reason Liquid has shown better reads is just because their drafts have been worse than TSM.
Yeah.
I don't know what the org does from here. I actually thought Lost had a decent series for the most part. Especially his Varus game stood out. I thought he was like just destroying people with Varus, like hitting all these arrows, and then like sure they lost that game, but I don't think that it was Lost's fault in any sense. I think this team is pretty decent. I think Sword Art this series was actually one of the better players, if I had to say, and I thought PoE was slightly underwhelming still. Like I honestly have never. I think I'm starting to understand why he's never won a finals in his career, even though he's been on.
Gamefly Rise Flash. Sorry.
Yeah.
That one they should have just traded Dragon. I don't know why they were trying to lose the game immediately, but yeah. Either way, it's easy to say after the fact. I am starting to think that he's closer to a Zen tier, very consistent, but he won't be there for you when you need him at the end.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, he's only been on 2 good rosters, the Origin one and this one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the better international team is going. While unfortunately this Ven timeline is broken, he's going to Worlds.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Damn.
Oh well, I mean, good for Cloud9. To be fair, I had TSM winning that game until that egregious Baron play. That it doesn't need to be talked about. Just go watch it. That's all needs to be said. But I just don't have the faith in TSM. And I think, I mean, even though I'm not huge on Sven this split, I still think it's and I do actually think Lost is better. But I don't know. I just think C9 just has a better roster and a better infrastructure than TSM, especially when it comes to important games. TSM is good regionally, but that's it.
Regionally, yeah. I mean, here's my thoughts now as a TSM heartbroken fan. I don't know. That game 5 was very questionable to me. That draft was like I don't really understand what was going on there. Then a lot of just questionable decisions during the game. It's like once something bad happened to them, they were just like, well, that's it. And they just started inting the game away. And I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is game 5. But that's the hard part, is that all throughout the games that I was watching, this was like a TSM dominant series. I was like, all right, this is good, but we'll close it. And the fact that we didn't really makes me wonder, because, they had it in the bag, and I don't know what's going on with, it's not like you have rookies. I mean, yes, you have Lost, but you have an MVP candidate in Spica. You have Huni, who's a veteran. You have Power of Evil, who's a veteran. Like, that should not be happening. Sword Art, who's a veteran as well. Yeah. So it really makes me wonder what was happening there. But as a fan, I don't know what they do from here. I don't think they need to make any roster changes, honestly. I mean, I do think they started to play together well, and I think they can get better. And Spica, to me, has just been insane. I think he's still going to be moving on up. So I'm really I like that direction where he's going. But I mean, I guess C9 make it. The Sven timeline's broken. He needed perks to do it, but hey, there you go. But let's talk about the Team Liquid match that they had.
Oh, so soon, League Dad?
I mean, unless there's anything else you want to, I mean, I'm just trying to move
on.
I
mean, we can TSM for a little bit longer.
All right.
I know you are.
All right, I'm going to let you guys talk on TSM, and then when you're done, I'll move on. Okay, how about that?
I just feel bad for Spica, man.
Yeah.
I do feel bad for Spica. I think it's a bummer that Spica doesn't get to go again. I mean, because he had a great Worlds last year. Even in the 06, he was their one shining player at Worlds last year, right? He had the 9-man sleep. That was always going to be a great meme. I think that, well, I don't know. I would make some roster changes.
Really?
I think PoE is a great player. He is so ridiculously meta dependent. I don't know if you get rid of PoE, but this would have been a great time to have a sub for TSM, a mid lane sub who can play the meta, because they banned Orianna Syndra and he didn't go back to Azir and he does not know how to play Ryze, and that really hurt them. Ryze is a really strong champion, especially into 4 melees, right? Gwen, Diana, Aurelia, Braum.
Yeah.
He should have been able to carry that game, especially when your Rel's actually making like decent like 3-man or 4-man engages and stuns. He was kind of just single targeting an Aurelia with W up, right? And it was that one fight where the Sorda made that big engage by the red pit. And then the flash in play to int, right? That was the game where they just sort of like ran in one by one. If they traded Dragon, the game was not over. By no means was that game over. They could have definitely still come back into that game 5. I think PoE is a great player, but if you can't play the meta, like you got to get somebody who can.
Do you have anybody in mind? I guess just because that's what I'm
I don't
thinking.
know.
It's like, who would there be?
There is this player, Bjergsen. I mean, obviously,
bring him back, baby.
He's
he
literally
can play the meta.
Yeah.
What if he did come back because he just saw this happen and he's like, you know what, that's it.
I mean,
is there anything
got
wrong?
shares in the company. He has a vested interest.
Is there anything wrong with being a coach and a sub? I don't know if there's a rule against that.
Yeah,
if there's not, he should have done it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think you keep the roster, but you change top laners.
I think changing top laners is
fine.
another option too.
Yeah.
Hootie.
Hootie did fine, but they're not looking for fine.
Yeah. They need someone if they gotta dominate.
Hootie did extremely mediocre in my opinion, and that was better than everyone expected.
It was better than
That's a problem.
Maybe that's why I think he played fine, like, in a good sense, because he wasn't playing his typical inting Hoonie.
If you look at that roster, they don't have any winning lanes.
Yeah.
They don't have any winning lanes, right? Like you put them up against the other top teams in NA, you don't say this lane's gonna win.
Yeah.
You say they're gonna have better macro. Speak is gonna be the better jungler. That's about it. When you look at TL, Alfari is gonna dumpster. When you look at C9, Fudge is gonna dumpster, right? It's supposed to be Perks is gonna dumpster, but he doesn't, right? Like there are these like players on these teams who are your superstars who are like we can count on them to win lane and create advantages simply through skill gap, right?
Yeah.
That's how the game's played. If you don't have a pure skill gap somewhere, you're gonna lose. And TSM they were able to skate by having just really good macro. Honestly, okay. And then with their great macro that we've been talking about this whole time, where they fall behind, they come back into the game, they choke a team out, and they end up winning anyways, even though they're behind the whole time, right? Because their early game is so crap, because their laning phase is so bad. In the game, they had Ocean Soul, and they had the early game lead. They threw, which is really sad. So I do think that better solo laners will help TSM out a lot. I've been a big PoE fan for a while, but when you're in this type of meta where it's like, you have to play more than just Syndra and Orianna and Azir every game. Like, you got to give me some Lee Sin, you got to give me some Aurelia, you got to give me probably a Kali is gonna come back. It's Worlds, right? Kali's probably coming back. So, yeah.
I mean, here's the other thing, right? It also could be a draft thing, because I know PoE is good at control mages, but control mages aren't good right now.
Yeah.
They really aren't, and I don't know if that's PoE saying, it's a 5 game, I want comfort, or if it's Bjergsen saying we're going to pick control mages for this reason. That's not something we can answer because we don't have that information, but it is something to think about, right?
Yeah. If I'm the jungler, I'm upset that I can't play if I'm Spica, I can't play Diana anymore, right? Because I have a mid laner. If I'm Spica also, it's like, well, if they have Aurelia Diana, or if they have Lee Sin LeBlanc or something, well, I just lost Scuttle. Both Scuttles probably. If they have if you're playing a mage mid and they have a Leona bot lane, you probably lost that Scuttle too, right?
Yeah.
It sucks that all these little things kind of add up in the draft of having weak solo laners, basically. Because it's the same thing. Like, Hoonie honestly had a great Camille game, but his Renekton games are super sus, and it's like, if I have a Renekton who's like falling behind and kind of looking like a dum-dum, I'm gonna be pissed as a jungler, and that's Spica's life right there. So, yeah.
Always blame the laners. Nah, it's true.
I mean, jungle diff is lane diff. That's the issue.
It's true.
At high level.
Yeah.
I think that you're right in the Hoonie thing. a lot of things are covered up. And PoE to a lesser extent. A lot of things are covered up by the metas as well as how the team drafts around those picks. Like sometimes we're like, why don't you pick this? It's like why don't you pick? I don't know. Probably not Bard, but sometimes there are times for a Bard. It's like, Sora's probably not the best on it. That's like an example, right? And it's the same. Like we saw that Jensen was terrible on Lee Sin during the regular season, but he kept picking it, and he actually got some wins. Like, and you could say arguably it was at least because he was competent. Not a Lee Sin main, but he's competent. He learned the picks, or he like was reading Aurelia spells as he was carrying on Aurelia. Like, you know what? I'll take that over someone who just doesn't play them but is really good at one thing. Like, it's fine to be good at one thing, but you can, in my mind, you can only have like 1 to 1.5 players on your team that like have that hole that you can cover up for, right? Once you like get triple banned, like C9 triple ban or double banning your mid laner, and he's just like on his like 4th pick, which is years away from his first 3, that's a real big
Viper.
Yeah. Well, that's a more extreme version, but yes, Viper too. And like Huni, the problem is like, dude, this TSM could have used Alfari. If they had Alfari,
I know, man. I mean, I think any team could use Alfari, but
or Impact.
Impact.
Yeah, like even Impact, but I don't think Impact wanted to join. Like I'm just talking about people who could have joined, right? Who we don't know have openly said, I don't want to join this team.
Imagine this team with Impact or with Alfari Bjergsen. This would be like the nuttiest team ever.
It just keep double too.
Yeah,
double Sora. Like I think Sora is fine. I actually think that Lost's weakness is his laning phase. I think that like, and they did double kills on.
I mean, I do want to counter that where a lot of the time in this meta, I mean, there's a lot of support roaming, so it's hard to like look super flashy in lane phase as ADC.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Sword has been playing very roaming heavy play style, which can set you behind in CS. Because I think Lost's main problem is the fact that his support roams, so he kind of just goes even in laning phase, and then because he goes even in laning phase, it's very rare he's like popping off in games, and because his team is better macro, it makes an ADC's job very, very easy.
Yeah. You
don't have to do anything flashy. You can just sit in the back and right click.
I think that's
you just eat waves.
Thing.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
kind of what Team Liquid does the same kind of thing. Like they just let tactical farm.
Yeah, like I think Lost and Tactical are competing for 3rd spot for AD carry, right, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear top 2, and then it's 3 and 4 arguable, and then 5th is
Rip Danny, my boy. Oh my god. Rip Danny.
Poor guy.
Unfortunate.
Well, I will say that it's pretty ironic that the best player now on TSM is their jungler. When it's usually been
starting last year. We said that last year too. We said that at the end of Worlds. We're like, it's ironic that's because their best player, and it just kind of continued being that way.
If not even more apparent this year. All right. Well, are there any last words? R.I.P. to TSM. See you next year. You guys good? Are you guys done?
No 0-12 meme is sad, but dude, give me Bjergsen back. I don't know. I miss him getting 5 banned and still like smurfing the game.
Hey, remember this last year when I was saying that I was doubting PoE and y'all were like, "Oh, but PoE is like the kryptonite for."
We
Bjergsen.
couldn't. We didn't know what the meta was gonna be like. But it's true.
Because Bjergsen can and will play those other champs, and
I will say I don't know. I don't know if Bjergsen carries that series because he was playing super supportive by the end of his career. So
Aurelia, his Aurelia is nuts though.
He can play Aurelia.
But he pick it though. Because he's always like, I don't need to pick this. Give Huni the Aurelia, I'll play whatever. Give Huni the Camille, I'll play the
TF.
Mage. Yeah.
No, I mean his TF is pretty nuts though.
Here's what we have to remember, Mitchell. Right? If Bjergsen's playing, that means Parth is still drafting.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Coaching,
Again,
so
coach,
I got it. I got it.
Okay.
We clone Bjergsen.
Yeah,
he coaches and plays. Yes.
I'm with it.
Boom.
He
coaches and plays. You know what? We just cloned Bjergsen 6 times. All right. He coaches, plays every role, and he subs.
Can you imagine if we would have seen Bjergsen on Lee Sin this year? That would have been interesting.
That would have been nuts.
I don't know what that would have been, but
I know. That's why I'm just curious.
I feel like he would have gotten good at it. He probably would have had a couple int games, and he would have gotten good at it.
Exactly.
Because I mean, Lee Sin is like a very intuitive.
Well, I tell you what, if Bjergsen comes back, that will be the sweetest day for me.
I don't think he will, but
I don't think he will. But if he was,
we don't think that those players would retire like that split. Like one of the players we said, I don't know if it was Double or Bjergsen, but we said one of them wouldn't retire, and they both did.
League Dad called Double was going to retire like 2 months before it happened.
did.
That was weird.
I knew that was
super
happening.
weird.
I'm
League
telling
Dad's
you,
got inside info.
you know what it is no.
fan number 1.
Here's what it is that I'm old. I know he's getting old, and I know what he's thinking because I'm like, oh, you getting that old man
Not
brain?
that old, dude. Double is like 25.
He's 27.
He's 27.
I think so.
I think he's
still not that
27 or
old,
28. Yeah.
Yeah.
that
Jasuke is
old.
pushing
28
30,
now.
so
Wow.
Dang,
yeah.
is he? Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
though.
he started playing at a high level, not that like pretty late into his like age range, but
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on from TSM because I'm too sad. Let's go, Kevin. Let's bring some joy in your life and talk about Team Liquid and how they beat 100 Thieves, but it was a 5-game banger. I mean, I am surprised by 100 Thieves. Honestly, I did not think they were even going to beat, EG, and they did, and then they went toe-to-toe with Team Liquid. So, what are your thoughts on that series, on those teams, Mitchell?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised too that 100 Thieves did that. Gotta say, okay, game 2, I thought it was pretty funny that Jensen was like, all right, I'm gonna pop up. We won game 1. I'm gonna pop off on Lee Sin. Give me the Sejuani, and they all ran it super hard.
Did.
Game 2
They
with
ran it.
with the I mean they had that sick ass GP Ziggs combo, right? Where you just like rain fire from the sky. It was similar to the
Yeah.
the
It's a
GP
fun
Jin
combo.
combo. It's super uninteractive and stupid.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. I will say that game 3, right? Game 3 I think was like crazy close and just super back and forth.
Yeah, it was.
And Closer popped off on Viego. And then I don't think we saw Viego ever again, did we? Yeah, it just got banned for the rest of the series. And I was like, that is just hilarious that Closer just pops off Viego once and then boom, banned. Cause yeah, he was banned. He just wasn't picked in game 2 at all. Yeah, so he just only went through draft in game 2. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed with 100 Thieves, but I do think that Santorin kind of had an off series. I felt like a lot of his decision making that Santorin made, especially in that game 3, where it was that really close game they lost. I felt like he was a little off. Like when he was basically smurfing the other 2 series against TSM and C9, he was a little bit of a diffy in the jiffy for this series and Closer's flavor.
Yeah, I think this game series wasn't a Santorin series by any means. I think that Viego is one of the most disgusting creations League of Legends has ever put
My
out.
gosh,
Like that was
I
a
know.
25 stack LeBlanc Medjai's in game 3, and then he
Yeah.
just took it and then threw it at the other team and then ulted and executed in the same spot like 4 times.
That is
2
so
more
broken.
times.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting. Like there is no excuse for that character being in the game when they're like, Master Yi needs to be balanced around, not be able to reset. I'm like, well, yeah, you don't even need to be fed on this character. You just take one and then you just you run with it.
I mean, there's a few of those champs.
Not to the Viego extent though. Invuln frame heals, takes the opponent's stats. So if they're fed, you're fed. Like there was a 10k gold or 9k gold difference at some point, and it just evaporated in that fight.
I mean, I'd put Yumi up there, but that's off topic.
I'm just saying, Yumi at least for the most part, Yumi needs at least someone else to have hands at some point, and they need to like have enough stats to enable. This character is literally just like, if I'm good, like I'm not saying you're a bad player. It's not easy to play Viego, but at the highest level, it's disgusting. What I will say is that I think that Liquid played fine this series. 100 Thieves showed up more. I think that like this was a pretty good day for 100 Thieves. I don't think Liquid really showed up that much, so I think it says a lot that they came back from a 1-2 and just like they closed it out. They still looked overall like a very good team.
Oh yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like the good parts are that they don't need everyone to show up to win. Alfari I think played probably the best, if not the second best on the team. Tactical played fairly well in most of the games. I think
Tactical played pretty well.
I think that Tactical's played on average probably one of the highest, like second highest of this team in the last like 2 months. It's just that like he just gets to sit there alone for like half the game. So
yeah.
I think Tactical is crazy. I think he's actually doing really well, and he's like the Jackie level of the team, of the IG team that won, where like he's got crazy people elsewhere, but like he's there like for when the crazy people aren't there. And then Alfari, I'm like, this guy, I can't believe this guy ever got benched. So it's all good signs for Liquid. As long as you're winning, like teams that have issues will do better. Like they'll be more cohesive, just because winning solves so many of the problems you'll have internally. Like you just don't argue when you're winning. I hope it's not a Santorin migraine. I hope it was just a bad day for him, because like that is unfortunate. He's like so important to this team looking like a juggernaut. Do they win the finals? I think yes in both scenarios. They're not gonna like treat 100 Thieves lightly in the finals, and I don't think C9 has what it takes.
Okay.
But we'll get into that later. This is just how I feel about the team. I think C9. I think that you give a lot of credit to 100 Thieves, but this wasn't even Liquid's like second form. This was like, I think this was like third string Liquid to that day.
Dang, Kevin's laying it in. That's like
they
his.
won.
That's like his. That's
just,
like
it was
his
not
team,
impressive, right? Like
that's
you saw
his
what they
team
did
Liquid
to C9.
flex right there, man. He's flexing his team. He's like, that wasn't even our.
TSM
He's
got
like,
stopped.
he's like, bro, that wasn't even like true form Team Liquid, and we still
saw
beat
true
him.
form Team Liquid in 2 series against the other top teams. I'm not making stuff up. We were all there to witness them just roll over other teams, trolling draft. They still troll draft sometimes in this series, but they still roll over. Like more times than not. I think it's impressive, and I'm also kind of concerned like why they pick what they pick, but you know they seem to have a read on what they like, and it's worrying. So,
all right,
yeah,
Alistair.
I mean, most of it's been said. Great series.
Yeah.
Game
5. What do you expect? I wanted to point out just a couple things. First, again, freaking Core JJ played a different support for every single game.
It's Core JJ.
I know, but I always have to recognize that because he just is so versatile and can make plays in so many different ways with so many different champs. And I feel like as I was watching him, he was playing outstanding with each one. And then also Alfari on his Jace was just, I don't think he died. And he played Jace twice, and I don't think he died at all with that champion. He was an absolute smurf on that champ, and I don't know. Yeah. I think this is a dangerous team because I was kidding with you, Kevin, but I do agree that this wasn't Team Liquid's top form, and so the fact that they still won, you got Alfari playing well. If Santorin just kind of turns it up again, hopefully it wasn't a migraine or anything.
Take some Advil. Yeah,
take some Advil. Yeah. I think this is a very dangerous team. I think they are favored to win it all, and I'm excited to see them internationally. Honestly, I think they can do some things provided they're all healthy and good to go.
They just don't choke. Yeah,
don't choke.
Like, that's all. Just play to your level. I do think they can do stuff internationally. I will say for Game 5, I was actually pretty worried for Team Liquid, especially with the Tom Kench support.
Yeah,
I was like,
again, troll draft, man.
Yep,
dude.
They should have lost that game. They should have lost.
You shouldn't pick Tom Kench support. The amount of times that basically the pick completely amounted to I die in place of Santorin.
Yes.
That's what Core JJ did
basically
3 or 4 times in a row.
Was when Santorin ulted and he was fine then after, and then he got 8 immediately after. I was like, you guys haven't practiced this. Core JJ just picked this on a whim. I swear to God.
He probably
did. I can win with Tom Kench support. I'm pretty sure Jensen said in the post-game interview, or maybe it was an interview with Travis, he's just like, yeah, I don't think it was a very good pick, but we won.
Gosh, man,
we won.
That's some confidence.
I can tell you, Tom Kench support is not a good pick.
Yeah, it's not good.
There's no place where Tom Kench support's good.
Their TK was like the OG lane, right?
Yeah,
this,
it was.
This is not a thing anymore.
They're like, you know what? Let's test it out real quick and see if it can work. But
wait, actually, something I did want to mention though about troll and not troll picks is that Game 4 though. That Bard Camille, I think maybe a co-stream also mentioned, but that Bard Camille to round out their draft was actually really intelligent because they absolutely dumpstered the Gnar with it, and then the Bard I mean I don't really know what the conditions for using Bard are, but it seems Core JJ does, and it hasn't lost yet, so good on him. Like he makes it look very strong.
Yeah.
So I think that Liquid lets the players have a lot more that might be why I still troll sometimes. The players like, oh, I want to play this, and they don't think of the big picture as much. But sometimes when it works, it absolutely stomps the other side. Like you can tell like LeBlanc, for example, is just like, yeah, it's gonna destroy them. Like I don't know why you picked LeBlanc. The Lissandra's gonna counter you, right? But like he got a Medjay 25 sacks and almost won the game single-handedly. So I think that Team Liquid just has so many scary threats, which is great because we don't know what the world's meta is gonna be. It's not gonna be this one exactly, right? So it means that they'll be more likely to be able to handle it. I'm hoping that having Alfari at Worlds means that they won't lose to the lower tier teams because he's just gonna curb stomp whatever second tier top laner shows up there.
But
I don't know,
who knows?
We'll see. Hope so. Alfari has been to Worlds before, and he was on a good team, or he was on a bad team that went to set quarters and did well. So
Yeah, I think that they will definitely. I'm hoping they're not going to pull loose Tomachis and not make it out of groups because of this
Oh
sort of
yeah.
thing, because that would really suck. But when you have like sometimes you just win those games because like we haven't actually had one of those players on Team Liquid in a while, right? Like before it
Hmm.
was Doublelift, right? It's like you're playing against a lower team, bot lane is just gonna just annihilate them. Doesn't matter what happens everywhere else. Doesn't matter how bad your macro is against that lower tier seed. Your bot lane just crushed you hard, right?
Yep.
And then that one year where we didn't have Double Lift on Team Liquid, Impact's not going to do it, Jensen's not going to do it, and then Tactical and Core J weren't doing it. So I definitely think like Alfari will just eat, like just devour whatever top laner that's not like up to par, and
Hmm.
just like go ramp it. I will say to go to 100 Thieves side, I'm pretty curious at what's going on with Someday specifically. He played a lot of Ornn.
Yeah.
And he played Gnar, and it's just like, dude, you're playing Ornn against Alfari, man. That doesn't seem like the right move. Like, I think if you're gonna play against Alfari, and you have someone like Someday, and you want to win the game, and you want to win the series, like, you need to pick a head-to-head matchup where you can win lane. Because he was playing to essentially go down in lane every single game. Like, you pick Gnar and Ornn not to win lane, but to scale and to come in and team fight better. And he team fought great, but I don't know if that's like. I think 100 Thieves, if they do make it to finals, and let's say they beat C9, they need to rethink their strategy and be like we can't just let Alfari get a free lane because
Hmm.
he will pop off.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like happened pretty much every single game. Um, so that's what I want to think about for 100 Thieves. Also, I do want to think about as well as the I don't know who he played Leona 4 times, and I thought
Yeah.
that it's Leona's a great pick, but if they're not winning with Leona, like what does their bot lane need to do to like win this game? Because like arguably their bot lane and their jungler are their best roles,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
They're in, so yeah. I wonder what 100 Thieves needs to fix to win this, because what I saw was that they're very scrappy and they're very good at team fighting and they're really
Hmm.
good. It's just they weren't able to actually close out the series. So yeah, that's the 100 Thieves side of
All
it.
right. Well, any last words on these two teams?
It's a good sign that like 100 Thieves not getting rolled is probably a good sign that they're one of our reps. Because like I think
Yeah.
before this, a lot of us were thinking, hey, they're not that good. Like they here because of seeding and like they beat like EG and they barely won, right? So like it's a good sign for us that we have at least two, and I think three, because I think C9 is good enough to be a rep at Worlds for NA.
Yeah.
Will we make it out? I think one of us will, minimum.
We
Might be a
say
little
this
optimistic.
every
All three,
year.
baby.
I mean, we don't every year we don't have this close of a competition at the top. It's usually just like 2 or 3 teams,
It's
and then
true.
that's it, right? So like and then sometimes we don't even send one of them, just because of like how things shake up, right?
Yeah.
So again, I'm gonna keep saying it because like it does look positive. Like it's with this much firepower, it's hard to do poorly. Those might be famous last words.
All right.
Yeah, I
But
was
you
gonna
know,
say, you know,
There it is.
region you're
NA
talking
hope.
about, right?
There's that NA hope
I
again.
mean, I'm always down for hoping. Do you know there are people who follow like the Chicago Cubs or whatever
Yes.
for like 100 years or
Oh,
90
yes.
years of not winning?
100
Oh, yeah.
years of losing.
Yeah. So
Imagine
don't
NA.
They're still Leafs fans, bro. That's all I gotta say.
I'm just saying, like you guys don't like this is like not nothing compared to like
This is
people's
nothing.
copium. Like copium wasn't even a word, and these people had already been like
This is
embodying
nothing.
it.
Like
If
the.
NA goes 100 years without winning a championship, I don't even know what to like even comprehend about that
And
idea.
even then, we will still be hoping that the next one will be different. So.
League of Legends 3, we might win our
Yeah.
first championship.
Dude,
All right.
Bjergsen's grandchild's looking pretty good these days. Maybe maybe we
His
can
grandchild?
win.
Oh man. Okay. Well, do you guys got any thoughts on the other two teams that were eliminated, EG and Immortals, before we predict this final week? Any thoughts on them though? They
Dude,
gone
I hate
fishing.
EG. I hate
What
EG with
happened?
burning
That's what I
passion.
want to know.
I hate them.
I would have rather seen EG than C9 personally.
I can't
They
believe
got
they lost.
3-0'd. They got
Yeah.
I know.
spanked.
Yeah,
Oh
they got
god,
spanked.
that was disgusting. That was the most. I thought it was gonna be a banger series, man.
Mhm. I don't know.
Impact.
What do you think what
Into-
was it? Is that it? What was the cause? Because they
wasn't-
were just on a hot streak before, and now they just cooled down at the wrong time.
Someone
Danny
got
Connect.
Yeah, they got their number.
Yeah, Danny cannot carry that corpse, man. They just got depressed or something. I don't know. That was just really, really not good to watch. I don't know, man. I don't even know. Also, Svenskeren sucks. I thought he was gonna come into this next series where it mattered and like start like pop off or something. He just sucks. And then I think they also had a bad meta read too. Like unless you're closer, I don't think you prio Viego over Lee Sin. I think Lee Sin is just better than Viego right now. Um, also he's just like, yeah, I don't know. If your team's bad, Viego sucks as well too. So, because you can't kill people.
Yeah, that's true.
The
No
Morgana pick was
resets.
super sus. I don't know. The TF was weird. I just just pick him Syndra every game. That's what they should have done with Jizuke. Just pick Syndra every game. Um, yeah.
Okay.
I think this series, like very shortly, was like I think Blabber just got to play against a worse jungler, like two worse junglers than him. I think that
Yeah.
the only thing EG really needs to replace is just their jungler, and it's gonna look like 100 Thieves, where like the second you replace, well, the mid laner in that case, then all of a sudden the teams magically just everyone got better individually. Strange, right? I think that Contracts is a little better than Svenskeren, but that not enough better. Like he's better in relatively speaking, and Svenskeren is better only when he doesn't have nerves because he's more of a veteran or whatever. But like Blabber just dumpstered them, and Perks played a really good series. I think this is one of the few series where I'm like, wow, Perks just like slaughtered the other guy. It wasn't close. And he's not supposed to be that player on this team apparently, like based on the history, right? So I think that EG probably just tilted a bit from what happened versus 100 Thieves. Like they had a lot of confidence built up. They were doing super well. They were so close to making worlds, and like that's depressing. Like yeah, you had another chance, but that doesn't mean you have the same fire, right? You don't have the same confidence. And a lot of those players do feel like give me the well, I don't think Impact is, but I get the impression Ignar, Contracts, and Jizuke are confidence players. I don't know about Danny, but like I just think that those guys need that confidence, and so when the back's against the wall like that without a second life, basically the life force was drained out of them. Immortal side, really impressive they took a game off. Honestly, they could have taken two. They just didn't have the individual skill. So I'd like to see that roster have at least one or two more pieces than what they actually have right now.
Yeah, I think they're solid team that did well for what we were expecting, and that's kind of like the team that was progressing
budget
nicely.
roster.
Yeah, budget roster. Yeah. So
those is good, solid budget roster. I mean, I'm sure they're sad they didn't obviously make it, but like they weren't gonna make it. But good budget roster. If they like come in with the right attitude and realize, hey, this was a success.
That was a success. Yeah, I mean, honestly, they should be proud of themselves because that was a good showing for them. So. Okay. Are we ready to move on to this final week of predictions? I mean,
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. 100 Thieves versus C9. This is on Saturday. Let's just get into it. I mean, I know C9 has not been playing. They did win against TSM, but we've been saying that sometimes they're still making shaky moves, sometimes questionable decisions. Is Perks going to show up? All of these things. And to me, 100 Thieves looks like they've been, kind of on the up and up. They've been hanging toe to toe with Team Liquid. They beat EG, so it could be anybody's game. What are your thoughts here, Mitchell? I was trying to actually just stall because Mitchell was coughing up a storm.
I was straight dying. Yeah.
He was like coughing. He must have choked on something. But are you ready? Are you okay, man? Do you need a sip of water, or are you good?
Sorry, I was doing my best TSM impression.
Oh
sorry.
gosh, choking! Yikes!
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
My gosh, please. Okay.
I don't actually know who's going to win this series at all. This one is very hard for me to predict because 100 Thieves look better than I thought they were going to.
Right.
And Cloud9 won, which is more than I thought they were going to do.
Breaking expectations all over the place.
Breaking expectations, exactly. So, honestly, we can just kind of think about this lane by lane. I definitely think there's going to be a bit of a top gap in favor of C9. I feel like if this is what Someday's going to do, if he's going to play GP Gnar every game and basically like play to scale, I think Fudge can take advantage of that. We saw he was willing to play the Gwen, even though it's nerfed, because regardless of those nerfs for Gwen, if you make it to Riftmaker, it does not matter anymore. You are a busted champion. The reason why pros aren't picking Gwen is because that time between her getting her Riftmaker is much weaker now. She didn't have that crazy early laning phase where you start E and just kind of smack people around.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Fudge also, he can play the GP really, really well. He's going to be able to take advantage of Someday, and that's going to be a big problem. And I thought that was a big problem for 100 Thieves in the Team Liquid series.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Fudge can play Jace, but if he can, Someday's going to have some serious nightmares.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do think Closer is gonna be a really, really big deal if he can have a good series against Blabber, because normally Closer actually has a rough time against Blabber. Historically, 100 Thieves normally gets pretty messed up by C9 historically. So we'll see how that goes. Am I just giving my prediction now? Is that what's happening?
You
Do I have
don't
to?
have to. You can think about it.
Okay.
You've given us some thoughts to talk about. Are you good?
Yeah, let's talk about it for a little bit, because I really don't know what
he
to
needs
pick.
to hear more things. All right, Kevin, why don't we hand it off to you? Give us your thoughts on this matchup. You can predict if you want, Kevin, but you don't have to.
Sure. Happy to. I think this matchup. I think that if we're talking about on the up and up, I do think that 100 Thieves is a little bit more on the up and up. They had to be what I think was prime EG instead of just the cusk of EG. So even though C9 did 3-0 them, that's not a transitive property at all. I think that them almost being Liquid, even if Liquid was like, not on their best day, is a big deal.
Yeah.
They really threatened Liquid. It wasn't like the other series where it's like, Liquid just trolled that game. It's not like I wasn't at least personally very concerned, even though they lost game 3 against TSM and C9. But against 100, it was like, oh, we might lose today. Like, that was really scary that Liquid usually closes out games when they have leads. And like they closed it out emphatically, and they did not, even if they trolled or whatever, like being able to find those looks is a big deal. And being able to play those huge threats like Viego. Like I think Viego's busted in the right hand, but he's not like an Udyr where anyone can play him who like has like the ability to use a mouse.
Hey man, Udyr takes some serious skill, buddy. Okay, don't talk
man,
trash to my Udyr.
I wish Smith was here this season, man. He would have smurfed.
Oh man.
So I think that 100 Thieves is a little bit stronger going, but the issue is that 100 Thieves' glaring weaknesses, aka whatever they were doing with something in the top lane. Like, yeah, sure, Ornn has been played elsewhere in other regions too, and so has Gnar, but you playing it into every time, just playing into Alfire, the best, like making a big lead out of it, top laner, is a very glaring issue, right? I don't think Fudge will necessarily be as dominant in lane at least as Alfari is, but Fudge is like more than happy to pick a Camille and just destroy you later on in side lane, or like just do better on the picks you're playing. Like he played GP twice, I think, against EG. So with all that in mind, I think the good things are that this match isn't do or die. Like, honestly, I don't think it matters that much. You just have to play. Oh, okay, I guess play-ins can be scary if you're Mad Lions or something. But, like, NA's never failed play-ins, so we should be good on that end. It might be more practice. I would say, with all that being said, I think I would give the edge overall to C9, unfortunately.
Oh.
A lot of teams end up playing through top right now and, like, working. Like it's not a coincidence that you just see like 7 kill Huni on Camille just like rampaging through. I'm like, what is this stuff? Huni literally like first second kill just swooped in for no reason and just last hit that thing because they knew he was gonna carry with like all that gold. He had no business being there. It was a waste of time technically, but he just last hit it. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I think that like Someday's so odd. Like there are times I'm like, oh yeah, he's really smart and really good, and then other times I'm like, why is he playing these characters though? Like he should be better than this. Maybe I'm just stuck too much with like the old impression I have of him, and that this is just what he can or wants to play, and they're just locked into that.
So do you think this is a 5-game 3-2 C9 thing?
Yeah, I think it's a 5-game. I think it's a 3-2. I don't think either team has enough to just like stop the other. And I think that there are enough anchors on both ends that it should be close.
Do you have an MVP in mind?
Yeah, I do have an MVP in mind. I think it's going to be... Well, I was going to say it, but then I don't actually think it anymore. I think it might be Blabber this time around. I think that if a difference is being made, it's in the jungle. Like, yeah, the top laner is going to look good because of it, but I think the jungler's got to pop off to make that happen. I think that Blabber did just, like, he played well enough in his series that like I think he should be the MVP here. And it's mostly because I think jungle can farm MVP a lot easier. I think Fudge might be a bigger gap, but it's going to be facilitated through the jungler. So you're going to give credit to the jungler as a result.
Yeah.
Especially with the picks that somebody's been picking. He's just going to be sitting there taking it anyway, so it's not going to look very impressive.
Okay. Alistair, do you got any thoughts on this matchup?
What I'll say is, as is known, my predictions are not often done by analysis.
Yes.
I leave that to you guys. I'm gonna go 3-1 100 Thieves.
All right.
Wow. Damn. 3-100 Thieves.
Yeah.
That's a spicy
And
one.
who's your MVP? FBI.
I'm gonna go closer.
Closer.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's. I think thinking the ADC is going to be MVP is kind of troll most of the time.
Okay.
It's probably just going to be like chances are it's going to be jungler support most of the time.
Yeah, it's true.
I
Yeah.
haven't checked the stats, but it's probably the case.
It's because they definitely feel the most impactful.
Yeah,
They're the two most OP roles right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I say 100 Thieves just because they played really well against Liquid, and Cloud9 did not look very good against TSM in my opinion. And I think Liquid. Well, I am very confident that Liquid is a better team by a significant margin over TSM. So I think just taking those two comparisons, for me it has to be 100 Thieves.
That makes sense.
But I mean it's very possible it's Cloud9.
See, you did do analysis.
Yeah, but it's not real analysis. It's very cookie cutter and basic.
Hey man,
I'm not going to sit here and go, oh well, top lane this and jungle that. No,
and they get 2 extra points for I'm going 3-2 like Kevin for C9.
Wow.
Here's my
C9.
thinking. Perks he's warmed up now. This man's ready. And I know he's been getting the accountability talk and like all this stuff, and he didn't have the best games, but I think he's getting the juices going. I think he's starting to warm up, and I think he's gonna do well this series. Call me crazy, but I have this feeling that he's been awakened. Wait, awakened.
Awakened?
He's been awoken.
Waking me up inside. Yeah.
He has been awoken.
There it is. The beast has been woken up. Anyways, that's my thought.
Actually, on that accountability topic, I have a thought. I don't know if it's a revelation, but I was just thinking about it for a while now, and I thought, it's at the end of the day, the accountability should almost entirely go on to Jack and Reginald here. Like it is not the fault of the player that they were misvalued or whatever. Like, if you offer me $11 million jungle for TSM, I'll jungle for TSM. I don't give a crap if I don't play well enough. Like, I will do my best, right? But like, if I don't do well enough, it's not my fault. Exactly, right? Like, okay, literally it's my fault, but I'm not held accountable for that. Who offered me the contract? I mean, I didn't say like give me 11
but that's
mil.
not true. You still get held accountable because like when a team, if I'm paying $100 million to have LeBron James on my team and the dude's like not playing at all, you could 100% blame LeBron James and be like, dude.
And if your contract has no clauses or bonuses for incentive structures at all, you're just being dumb.
Well, then there's the terms of the contract that we don't know about, right?
Right. We don't know the terms, but like, my point is, that's actually true. To be honest, if we don't know the terms, it's hard to say if there's any incentive structure or if that's like it's worth 11 mil, not literally they're getting a lump sum, right?
Yeah.
Now, actually, isn't there a pub? Well, we don't know the terms. Though. We just know the number because of the public.
I'm just saying from a fan
perspective.
Yes, I'm still gonna blame Perks because you dang well got a fat paycheck. Please earn it, like, or at least make it work.
let me rephrase that. I don't think it's no blame. I think that the more blame should be on the org for overpaying. Like,
sure.
If you can't value players correctly, or you can't get players to play well, it is more on the org's fault. Obviously, the players should be playing well, but like, if I pick up Bang or Hooney for 2 mil or whatever, right, and they just play like garbage, and there was like no incentive structure there or no coaching structure, like, it's a little bit more on the coaches and the person making the final call than the player. Like, maybe they just couldn't flourish because the coaching sucks. Like, contracts said, like, on Golden Guardians, there are no coaches. He could have paid $1 million to play there. He obviously didn't, but he could have. And is it his fault then at that point? I'm like, yeah, kind of, but not. I wouldn't say entirely. I would say that it's like 40-60, 60 to the coach / owner. Because like if you just make these huge moves and like you don't know what you're doing, like I don't blame the player. Like he's probably playing as well as he can. Like a lot of
you know, what'd be
coaches
funny
are saying
is
that Crooks isn't trolling.
If C9 makes it out of groups, then all of this stuff that throughout the year, it would have been totally worth. Like that was the whole point of getting him in the first place, was that you know NA would go international. He's completed step 1. He's making it to Worlds. Next step is make it out of groups, and if he does that,
spring.
Anyone spring. And so if he does that, everyone's just gonna be like, well, we were wrong. Perks is the ultimate, told you so. So that's my MVP too.
Double last year until they won the split for no reason whatsoever. Like they should have not gotten that far, and they went to the lower bracket and won the split. So then we're like, all right, good enough. Double always makes it to Worlds somehow.
My argument.
We were all flaming them.
My counterpoint is you do get a little more accountability when you say you're going to come to NA, body the region, not die once, and then you
die a little more than once.
And stun.
Well, the not die once, I'm sure, obviously an exaggeration. The rest, I agree.
Obviously, that's an exaggeration.
You get accountable for all the other ones. Like, I'm not here to lose or retire or whatever. Collect the paycheck.
That's why Fudge got so much flame.
Yeah. Honestly, it's good PR. He's gotten attention either way. Mitchell, you've stalled long enough. You've also stalled long enough, Mitchell. You need to make your prediction. Don't
you guys remember?
I remembered. You got to make your prediction
Did you
still.
Remember?
Yeah. I was gonna make a prediction after this weekend happened, but sure, I'll do it now.
Okay.
No. Yeah. I actually, unfortunately, think it's C9. I kind of don't want to. I think actually 100 Thieves is the better team. I think that 100 Thieves is going to see the light. They're going to see the belt in the sky, and it's going to block their vision. And we're going to see something similar to what happened here. C9 is honestly going to look like the worst team, and they will clutch it out and win. I feel like it's just kind of what Perks does. It's like a veteranship sort of thing, veteranship sort of org. I promise you, honestly, 100 Thieves, if they played in a complete scrim environment, that they would probably beat C9, but 100 Thieves is going to make some goofy calls. I can just see it right now. Some days going to Orn E into the middle of the team and miss his Q or something. He's going to just flash set ult in and be way too far ahead of his team. Something stupid is going to happen a couple times in a row. And C9 will do the same thing, right? But 100 Thieves just won't be able to punish us hard, and I do think it's going to be C9 3-2.
3-2.
And I actually think 100 Thieves is the better team. I just don't think they're going to win. And that's I know that's weird analysis, right? But that's competitive gaming. It's just a feeling sort of analysis. You know what I mean? Sometimes the better team doesn't win.
Too. Yeah, I feel like Perks, something's going to happen. Where I don't think,
I think Abidaga is better than Perks. If you put him on paper, you look at all the stats, you line up all the games together.
Yeah.
But Perks will probably just clutch it out more. I don't know. Perks has clutched it out literally against Abidagi before too. So
it's kind of this just an analogy for TSM over the last few years. They're the worst team, but they still managed to win.
Basically,
there are definitely years they're not the worst.
No, I said the last few years.
I mean, last year, I definitely felt like when they won finals last year in 3 5-game series, it was were they the better team, or did the other team just get tired?
Yeah.
Last year, okay, that's fair. And the year before, they didn't even go to Worlds, so I wouldn't say they were overrated. They just didn't make it. They just got boomed by Clutch.
I don't know. They made it to finals though, or NA final. Or no, they didn't. That was
no, they didn't. No, they got boomed.
Different.
They made it to finals spring 2019. Last time they made finals. And then also, I mean, when you look at regular season games too, or TSM, right? I felt like they were just losing. Other team just dude, this game's going on for 40 minutes. I'm so tired. And team's all right, we'll win. We've just been saving all of our mental energy.
Tryharding and norms, that kind of friend.
So who do you think,
tryharding and norms just throw randomly.
So who do you think, we lost. Who's your MVP then?
My MVP for C9
Perks
is gonna be Perks. I think it's gonna be Perks.
That's what I'm thinking
I think. Okay, so yes, I do think jungle and support, they look like they're always the best, but I feel like the way the voting process is done is almost always a popularity contest. That's how I felt.
I would agree.
It's really hard to get over the veneer of just a star player. You will just vote for them when you can't think of anything obvious.
The amount of times Core JJ has won Player of the Series, and I'm like, he kind of ran it down. I don't know, man. I just feel like it's a popularity contest, so I'm gonna go Perks.
Okay. That's
I do think honestly, Sven actually had a pretty decent series, especially on Jin. I feel like his Jin was pretty good. We'll see. I feel like
Oh, why'd you have to mention? No, I just remembered Sven built shield bow on Varus, and I got tilted.
Oh yes, he did. He built shield bow. He did the shield bow wits end combo, the tank ADC build. Someone who played Tristana built that too. People are building on Ashe. I think that build is so bad unless you're a bruiser,
I think I
unless
saw
you're
that
literally
in
a
EU
Relia.
the other day, or LCK. I'm pretty sure I saw that exact build on a
That
Varus.
build is
I was like,
so
why are you guys
doo-doo.
doing this?
I don't know.
Maybe they know something I don't, but I don't see it.
The thought process behind the build is essentially the AD carry's job is shifted from doing damage to staying alive, and it helps you stay alive. Wits End is super broken.
Yeah,
It
Wits End is super
It's got a
broken.
lot of
And
stats.
resistances on top of a shield is also just makes it so much better. That's why it's good. It's not good on Varus. If you're picking Varus and you're not building him lethality, don't play Varus.
Yeah.
It's not good. Don't
Yeah.
do it.
On hit, an ADC Varus is a gigabait. It doesn't matter how many tanks there are on an enemy team, you still build lethality because the resetting blight stacks. Yeah. Resetting blight stacks is the way to do it. You do way more damage if you just reset your blight stacks instead of going on hit. And just having a ton of AD. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
God, stop picking Ashe though, people. Stop picking Ashe. Also,
Ashe
stop.
won yet in our league?
No, I don't
know
think so.
She's won elsewhere, but I don't know if she's ever won.
Also, stop picking Ezreal, dude. Oh my God, stop it. That champ is
Yeah.
so useless. I mean, okay, he got to 3 items, and Ezreal honestly lands some crazy ultis, but like, dude, you're
Have
waiting.
fun killing that bruiser.
Yeah, you're waiting
Yeah.
around for 3 items, man. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I wish people would stop picking Ashe and Ezreal. Just stick with Tristana, Varus,
I
Jhin.
loved the Vayne. I will say
Yeah,
I loved the
Vayne.
Vayne
Ashe is
picks.
0-4. Holy
Oof.
cow in playoffs.
Yeah, I think
Jeez.
Vayne is interesting. I also think Aphelios is fine in some case. Oh, Callista, of course, obviously.
No. Callista
Really?
bad. Callista bad.
I think
Callista
Callista
bad. Nope.
is.
You're wrong. Callista bad.
I think Callista is great at just freaking throwing your support in there and killing the enemy ADC, killing the enemy, whatever, and making him feel terrible. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I mean, they
don't
like
know,
Callista.
that international 40% win rate's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's rough.
I mean, bad teams play it, but like Callista's at a 50% win rate in playoffs, and Tactical's won 2 out of 3 games, and he's looked good on it the whole time.
Yeah, he
doing
does
it.
look
So,
good.
like,
Wow.
maybe she's bad, but like, as long as you're good enough, you can make it work. Because she's not. It's not her that's good. It's her ability to enable her support that's good.
Maybe it's a regional thing, but like, in the Asian leagues, she's like they're picking her every game, but she's just losing every game. Like she has something like close to a 40% win rate internationally. I don't know the exact number, but it's pushing that. Like it's
Okay.
Callista's not good. Because the issue with Callista is she is a lane bully champion, and it is not a lane bully meta. Your support AFKs and you stick 1v1, and the enemy ADC just doesn't go near you, and they farm. And now Callista's useless because it's 3 items.
Yep.
Remember that time when who was it? Playing Aphelios did like 13,000.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was
Isn't that every Aphelios game? I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
it was.
Aphelios spawned into the game.
It was an EU game, but it was like late game, like 30 minutes. Aphelios did 13,000 damage in a team fight, and Callista did like 2,500.
Yeah.
That's true, but at the same time, there's a reason why Aphelios isn't just like blind picked into every game. Well, he might be more so now, but like, yeah, but in a pro level, you just need to win that laning phase. You need to get the turret down and then just rotate your AD carry, and then later on your AD carry is useless and your support does all the work. Your AD carry just stays alive. Callista can build Witsen, she can build Shield Bow. She's got a 100% win rate in LPL playoffs right now.
Yeah.
Although
I think
it's 2-0 to be fair. I looked at the number like, oh, it's only 2 wins. But like,
it's only 2 wins.
I think you just don't pick her always. I think you just pick her into very specific scenarios because otherwise she is garbage. I agree. Liquid lost 1 game out of they won 2 and they lost 1. The 1 game they lost, they were up 10k gold with the Callista and a Medjai's LeBlanc, and they lost because it just doesn't do any damage past this turn.
Yeah.
Callista has her place.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not that common.
Yeah,
Let me put it that way.
I totally agree.
That's what I'm trying to say. She's
I do
completely
think
overpicked.
in this meta that NA has cultivated specifically, we do tend to dive bot lane a lot. Our support goes top lane, and then we actually dive bot lane, and Kalista is great for that. I don't know if I think in other regions they probably don't do that as much, but NA tends to dive bot lane a lot, and when you do have that, Kalista is not bad, especially if you manage to like just force feed gold into your carries. I feel like Kalista is one of those when you have an ADC that's meant to survive, right, and you do that shield bow with Zen build. Um, she's one of the best. She's like probably the tankiest ADC, right? So
I'd
it's
rather
like
play Draven.
maybe, yeah.
Straight up, I would rather just play Draven. He
But
scales
Draven's not a
better.
character anyone can pick up. He scales better,
Yeah.
but Draven's definitely a specialty character. You actually have to put time in him. Anyone can play Kalista at a pro level. Any pro ADC can play Kalista at a pro level.
Well,
Or else you would see
people
more
have so much
Dravens instead of
experience
just
on
Rays
Kalista.
picking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just think I just think there's better picks most of the time because it feels like a lot of Kallista's wins aren't because of Kalista. Like
I think it's like because of Kalista, like sort of like she's more of a bridge, right? She bridges the early game, you dive bot, and then she's just a tank later, right? She's just actually another tank in the later stages. She's not the main carry.
Okay.
That could be it, but
Are you guys ready to predict the last game?
there's
yeah,
another
the last
game
game.
happening.
Yeah, you guys have been talking about
finals.
you guys have been talking about ADCs. I was like, I guess we're just not going to talk about the last game and the finals of the summer split.
Yeah,
So-
true.
I
Is
got-
that happening?
But
I
I don't know why
Yeah.
if it's because of that, because I do think Team Liquid, either way, I would have picked Team Liquid. Doesn't matter who it is. And so maybe that's, it does kind of put that. But I do think it's going to be close either way. But I'm still going 3-2 Team Liquid. And I'm going to say Core JJ. And I'm assuming here that C9 wins this because it would be a rematch from Spring Split, but they'd have Santorin this time. So that would be
Every
hype.
single finals this year would have been Team Liquid C9, by the way. Lock-in, spring,
Right,
and
yeah.
summer if C9 makes it through.
Yeah.
That is a storyline to
That's
have.
pretty cool.
That is hype.
Yeah.
Because they're also tied, right? Team Liquid won the first one. C9 won the second one. There's arguments saying that if Santorin was in for the second one, Team Liquid would have won in that game 5. There's that 5-game series.
Yeah.
Will TUL win this final one against C9? I think so too. I'm going 3-2, and I am going to go. Is it going to be Core JJ? I mean, it's probably going to be Core JJ.
Yeah,
like I
'cause
said, it's a
popularity
popularity
co-
contest.
exactly,
Yeah,
that's-
it could
that's
be Alfari
exactly what I
too,
figured.
but
Yeah, it
it's
could
probably
be.
going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Core JJ. I think Core JJ go crazy.
All right.
I'm 3-1 TL and I'm going Alfari.
So you're the only one that picked 100 Thieves, so you think that TL is going to dominate 100 Thieves then?
I probably would have gone 3-1 either way.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
makes sense.
It's fair.
I
fair.
don't think it goes 5 games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Either way.
I don't think
Kevin?
it goes 5 games again, or either. I think it's going to be another 3-1. I think Liquid's just better. I think C9 said something like they weren't on their best or whatever that day, and that they could have done much better. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. But I think Liquid just is a better team. I think MVP will go to Santorin. The only thing that will stop Santorin from being MVP is if his brain cracks. It says
Or
split
if he
open
gets
during the match.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's a real variable. That's
It is.
kind of
It
depressing.
honestly could happen.
Yeah.
We don't know what happened last week, and if it did happen last week, last weekend, they wouldn't say it, right? Because that's not
We don't want to tell
encouraging
anybody.
to it's
Yeah.
a bad mood, right? But we don't know, and honestly, it doesn't super matter. I think NA is a second full team, anyways. Does NA get one of the first seeds? Still?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we still do. Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
We just have to go through play-ins for third
Yep.
seed. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's the nuance. So we get
Yeah.
first, second, and then play-ins.
Yep.
If we were a minor region, we would not get a first pool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
We're
this
still a
year
major
being in a
region.
first seed and a second seed makes no difference. The second seeds from some of these regions are ridiculous. T1 might be a second seed. We might have RNG or LNG or World Elite or whatever. Be
Honestly,
a second seed
yeah.
for it doesn't matter.
doesn't
It's just
matter.
which monster do you gotta face
Right.
and at what point? Because
It
you're
always
gonna have to
feels
beat
like-
them at some point. At least
Dude,
one of them.
honestly, I think our first seed every year gets totally destroyed anyways. So I don't know if our first someone needs to look up that statistic. Has our first seed ever made it out of groups? I'm thinking back and I feel like
T9 hasn't been our first seed ever, I think.
Well, because
Or,
usually
except
our
for
first
season
seed is
3,
TSM.
where
That is
yeah,
true too.
Or Team Liquid, right?
season 3 we made
Double
it
lift.
out of group, or
Still-
season 3 or 4 we made it out of groups with C9 as our first seed, but that's because they were directly seeded into the
Yeah,
top
they were
eight.
directly seeded, and then TSM
So-
also made it out. TSM made it out in 2014, and they had to play against Samsung White. So that was the only time, I think.
Yep.
And then C9 was third seed, and they had to play against Samsung Blue. So that was probably the only time our first seed has ever made it out. Because every year after that, it has been Doublelift who's been our first seed, and he has not made it out. Yep.
Yeah, it's actually really easy to crack it after that.
Yeah, every single year after that 2014, Doublelift was our first seed because it was CLG, TSM, TSM, and then Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Doublelift definitely
and then
wish on a
TSM.
monkey spot said, I'll do anything to win my first trophy in NA. And they're like, oh boy, I got something for you, girls.
You will win every trophy and never make it out of groups at Worlds.
All right, guys. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap it up? This is it, man. This is it. This is gonna be the finals, and then we got Worlds. But any final thoughts?
Since TSM is not going to Worlds, and this will be the first time in a long time that Doublelift is not going to Worlds, and Bjergsen, we will actually make it out of groups. I believe we're gonna make it out of groups. I don't care that I said probably a couple months ago that we're going 0-18. I'm taking it all back. We're making it out of groups, guys. We're doing it.
It's that time again. It's time when all of the NA fans get their hope, and it's like Christmas. We're like, oh, it's gonna be good.
Let me pull up the podcast from this time last year.
Yeah. Let's see the title. The title's
the reason why the word fanatic is rooted from the word fan. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Like it's just part about being a fan. It's the fun of it. Like if you were really realistic about everything, like take a betting approach to games, for example.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring, man. It's just a lot of statistics. What I'm gonna say is like. It's not a coincidence that Jensen made it to Worlds 7 times in a row. He's the most of anyone. He's tied with the most, but he's currently
Sneaky.
And so he's tied with Sneaky, but he's the most of any active player.
And
it's also not a coincidence that Perks has won 9 out of 11 championships or whatever the stat keeps getting thrown around, right? Like the second he leaves his superstar team with an upgrade over him, didn't even make it to top 3. It's not like we were expecting first seed, right? He just didn't go to Worlds. Their team didn't go to Worlds. So like. Honestly, I'm giving credit to him either way. I don't care what he looks like in game. Like I used the eye test for a while, but they kept on. They won a split, went to MSI, didn't do great, but like whatever. We don't always do great at MSI. Then they could win this split, but they at least made Worlds, right? They beat the first seed of the regular season too on their way to it. It wasn't an easy route at all. So you know what? Like good on C9, good on Perks. Like I don't know what he's doing, but he's obviously at least doing something. Hopefully. Or else like why is G2 this bad? Like
it's like I said, if we see Perks somehow making it out of groups, that way it's mission accomplished.
He's gonna be pardoned. He's gonna get a presidential.
Everyone will say it was worth it.
All along.
Like it might be a joke, but it'll be like an inside joke we all share.
All of these ups and downs.
Worth it.
All people
are gonna do is call it the $11 million Worlds run. So
the $11 million to get out of groups
of all time.
The $11 million 06.
I wouldn't mind it because whatever, I'll take any way to get out of groups. But that's gonna wrap it up for today. It was a super long episode, but we wanted to cover everything, and I think we did just that. Thanks again to Kevin, Mitchell, Alistair for always sharing their insights. If you guys got any questions, feel free to email us at questions@theallinpodcast.gg, or you can tweet us at the All In Podcast. But until next time, guys, enjoy your climb on the Rift. Try not to be too toxic, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Peace.